Welcome to Inspiration, providing practical tools, strategies, stories, and resources to create places where everyone loves to work and everyone loves to learn. Welcome to Inspiration. This is your host, John Linney. Once in a while, we've taken a break in our usual show format. We interviewed some great guests over the last year and all of our shows. And, I think there's been 2 times where we've taken a little break and we've addressed a certain challenge that came up and maybe we needed a little more time to discuss it. And today is going to be one of those days. What spurred this for me was recently I was in an office in a school in Florida, and I was visiting this school to do some work with them, half a day, a little presentation to some students that I was invited in to do. Most of you know I do a great deal of work in school climates and in improving school climates overall in many different environments. When I was visiting this one school, I went to the front office. I got a very quick read on a certain feeling I had about that school. And what I had noticed was the customer service in that front office. And when I walked in, they didn't smile. They didn't say, "Hi, how can I help you?" It took them several minutes to look up. And when they did, no one smiled. One person just said, "Yes." Didn't ask, "How can I help you?" Just said, "Yes." And so I got a certain feeling that really wasn't warm. It wasn't a place where I felt like I wanted to be based on their facial expressions, based on their energy. And I can imagine how all those who interacted with these people in that office must have felt. And, maybe you'd say they're just having a bad day, but I got the sense from the whole day that when I was there, that was part of kind of their way they tended to operate. When you think about it, the front office is the face of the school. It's the first line of contact. It's the greeter. It's kind of like the host or hostess in a restaurant. It's the first person you see that greets you, who opens the door for you when you walk into a business, or a person that greets you. And there are multiple players that contribute to a school climate. We have to look beyond the instructors alone, or the principal alone, or administrators alone. Customer service is really something that everyone contributes to. And that climate is something everyone contributes to. From the cafeteria staff, to the bus drivers, to the people in the front of the school, to the yard duty people, to your crossing guards. Everyone contributes to that climate. And the front office is probably one of the most important, yet I feel one of the most overlooked. And barely making eye contact and not smiling, people who are acting overly busy in this office. It was like a stereotypical movie scene of the person who works at the Department of Motor Vehicles, who's really just basically spending their time cashing a paycheck, really looking like they were suffering. So they were really going to make others suffer in that process too. And in those moments, I find myself trying to be empathetic. I try to rise above and kind of separate myself from my experience and kind of think about, I wonder what's going on for them at this moment, or why they're experiencing that. And maybe it has to do with those they interact with all day. Maybe it has to do with those who are supervising them. I don't know. And I try to just extend some empathy, but I can't help but also feeling another part of me saying, we can do better. Really, we have to take it to another level. We're the adults in the building. This is about customer service is really more than just meeting the needs of others. When I dig into customer service, what I feel like it's more about anticipating the needs of others. When you go into any restaurant, you have any experience, this is the best kind of service, when they anticipate your needs. And I was in a Chinese restaurant. I remember very distinctly, I was doing some work in San Antonio, and I was sitting in a famous Chinese restaurant chain. And I was sitting at the counter, and I was in the mood to try and get some coffee, and I was thinking about getting actually a cappuccino or something like that, or a latte. And they only had regular milk. And the person who was my server asked me, "So why don't you get it?" And I said, "Well, because I'm allergic to regular milk, and I only usually use soy." And he says, "Oh, okay. Well, if we had soy, would you get one?" And I said, "Well, sure." And he says, "Well, we don't have soy, but let me see what I can do." So about 5 minutes later, he came back and he had a container of soy milk. And I couldn't believe it. He really ran to the store across the parking lot, went and bought the soy milk and brought it back just for me. And that to me has stuck with me in the last, I don't know, it was 8 years ago when that happened. And that has always stuck to me as an amazing example of service. And I was doing a school, I remember one of my first 2-day upstandard trainings I had done 14 years ago. This was over 200 trainings ago, one of my first trainings. And I remember this counselor at the break took pity on me because I was trying to learn the curriculum. I was trying to do it right. I was running around. I was sweating. And I recall that she came up to me at the break and she said, "Do you just need some time? I mean, I think what I'd like to do is I'd like to take the kids outside. We're going to take a break and we're going to go get them their food outside. They're just going to take a little break and then you can catch your breath. How does that sound?" Now, this counselor could have asked me what I needed. And I was in such a state that I don't even think I could have even answered her. I wasn't thinking clearly enough to be able to give her an answer of what I might need. But she looked at me. She anticipated my needs on her own, even when I couldn't identify them myself. This helped me to breathe, but at the same time, I felt like she really appreciated my effort at the same time, and I felt like a bond with her. So I think about our work, and I wonder, who are our clients? Who are your clients? And what do you think they might need, or your clients might need, to feel valued and feel respected and feel appreciated? We can also ask that of ourselves in any position we're in. For example, if I'm a principal or an assistant principal, or I'm thinking about, what do my staff need? Not what I need, but what do my staff need in advance, anticipating. And if they don't know, for example, the staff may not know, or I don't know as an assistant principal, I might just do a survey and I might just ask them, what are the things that we might need? And just continually staying in touch with that is quality customer service. If you're a teacher, what are your parents' needs, for example? Not our needs as teachers, but what do parents need? What do you think they need or want? More homework? Unlikely. But maybe it's more flexibility in meeting with you. Not just in person, maybe it's over the phone. Maybe it's as simple as having some water bottles in your room when they walk in and ask them if they'd like one. Ask them first, what are their hopes for their child? What experiences do they hope their children have in your classroom? Really trying to understand the needs is also part of marketing and understanding the needs of our clients and the needs of service. Too often, I think, as educators, we get caught up in delivering our content or delivering what we need to give without thinking enough about what are the needs of those that we serve. And if it's not just the students, it's those that are around us, their parents, all of those that support them. Really, this is a forgotten art in many places, because if we want to be heard, we have to learn to hear first. If you consider, a parent, you're a parent yourself, for example, you might ask what your children need or anticipate their needs. And we do that when they're little, when they're babies. We think they might be wet. They might have soiled their diaper, or they might be hungry. We're anticipating those needs when they're children. Or if you have a teenager who's acting a little bit out of their mind, for example, you might have to ask. One of the best questions I heard from one of my previous guests was to think and ask them, stepping back, us being the adults, what do you need right now? Maybe they needed some space or a nap, something to eat, maybe a little time alone, take a walk. Then let them have it. Really asking them, what do they need? And maybe you have a child, for example, with ADHD who really just can't be still. Maybe you're already letting them move around, and maybe you're letting them stand up while they do their work at home or in the classroom. If they're not hurting other students, then why not? Because you're meeting their needs while they're doing their work. And if your kids need to go outside to get air as a classroom, maybe they need to touch the things they're studying in nature, maybe we have an opportunity or explore opportunities to do that. This also has the power of when we anticipate needs in a relationship, whether you're dating someone or you're in a long-term marriage, it really is an art form to continually to really look for the needs of others and trying to anticipate them. I know that few things are more fulfilling and satisfying in a friendship or in a partnership than when someone just anticipates your needs. Anticipating someone's needs is really much more powerful tool for creating relatedness and connection than demanding that someone else understand ours. Let me put this in a briefer way. Anticipating the needs of another is much more powerful than demanding they understand our needs first. So I pose this question today and for this week is to ask yourself, what are the needs that your students have? What are the needs that you think the office staff has? What are the needs of your parents? And if you are a staff member listening to this episode, also consider if you're in the front office, you're the face. You're the face of that organization, the first line of contact, the first impression. And we always know that first impressions settle into people very quickly and they're hard to shake. Think about your office staff and training them and bringing them in part of professional development. Too often, professional development is only for the staff, meaning staff, educators, instructors, not staff like office staff, cafeteria staff, bus drivers, for example. Really reconsidering our professional development to incorporate all those people who contribute to a climate so they're not on the sidelines and they're not getting the support and development they might need to make sure that they can provide the best service possible for all those they serve. And that's what schools do. They're really in the service of others. When you look back at the quality customer service experiences you have had, it was probably because of their friendliness, their relatedness, and their ability to anticipate and meet your needs. And let's think about how we can do that better as schools or as educators, because that'll have people also appreciating us and hopefully anticipating our needs too. I think that's one of the strongest ways to do that. One of the reasons why I do this show is because I know that educators provide one of the greatest services on this planet. And to deliver that service each and every day requires something huge of people. And people sometimes say, well, I'm not a hero. I'm just an educator. I do my job. But those actions are all heroic in the path of service to creating a better planet and better people. And I appreciate everything you do to anticipate those needs so you can be of greater service to others. We've had some fantastic guests this year, and we've got some great ones lined up for you in the coming weeks. I want to thank my show's producer, Nick Jaworski. He's over at podcastmonster.com. And just so you know, there's a full catalog of past shows, past episodes that you can get to by clicking on the sidebar at edspiration.org. And where it says iTunes, you can click on there and you can get access to that entire back catalog. And so you don't miss any episodes, you can actually click on the subscribe button, and that'll allow you to hear all the shows so you don't miss any of them. We would be honored also if you shared this show with any of your friends, your colleagues, and this couldn't be any easier to do. At the website at edspiration.org, you'll also see share buttons on Facebook, Twitter, email, Pinterest even, all easy buttons there on the site. Please share it. It's free content with some great guests. And remember, if you haven't connected with me on Twitter yet, you can find me at School Climates with an S. I'd love to connect with you there. I'd also love to connect with you in person. If you are hoping for some staff development, you need some school climate needs addressed, whether that's customer service needs or bullying prevention, or in a full array of school climate services, you can find all those at schoolclimateinstitute.org. That's at schoolclimateinstitute.org. You have a tremendous power to influence and set your own climate and to be a thermostat. Anyone can just tell the temperature like a thermometer, but it really takes someone special to set the temperature. So remember, you can set the temperature. Be a thermostat, not just a thermometer, wherever you go. And I look forward to sharing more Edspiration with you next time.